Welcome back to another edition of Baseball for Maniacs. We are one day away from opening day. Opening day is tomorrow, 4:15 against the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez will be towing the rubber against Nathan Eovaldi. And I've done so many previews on the Phillies in the sense of I've done the rotation, I've done player previews, I've done the whole grand scheme, but I haven't done a full Philadelphia Phillies team preview. And the title of this episode is going to be The Last Dance. And some people might be saying, oh, you're overly emotional. It's like too much. Like it's just a baseball season. I believe in destiny. I really do. I did think last year was a team of destiny. I just felt after the Wheeler injury, the burn the boats, I really felt like there was something special there. Not that there wasn't, even though we lost against the Dodgers because we were very close. A couple of things here, a couple of other things there could have swayed the series one way or the other. But not only are the players getting older, right? Bryce Harper's 33, going to turn 34 in October. Trey Turner is going to turn 33, I believe, in June. Zach Wheeler might retire after next year. The clock is ticking. But not only is the clock ticking for this year, there might not be baseball in 2027. Everyone knows what's going on with the impending lockout. And even if, let's say, they miss a few months and, the season starts in June, and let's say the Phillies win a World Series in 2027 in a shortened season. Will I be ecstatic? Absolutely. But I will be lying to you if I didn't say it would feel a little different than doing it in a full season. So I really do think with this current group, and I emphasis on this current group, I think what John Middleton is doing, what this organization is doing, is going to keep them competitive for years after years after years. I don't think we're ever going to go into a stretch where we did in 2012 to 2021, where we didn't make the playoffs for 10 years. But this current group of players, this is their last chance. And before I get into the whole journey, all that kind of stuff, the whole preview, I love these group of ball players. The sentiment around the city right now has been, they're playoff chokers. They don't come through when it matters most. And is that correct? Is that a correct assumption of these players so far? Absolutely. And I'll get into their playoff moments, their playoff failures. But one thing that you can't say about these group of ball players is they don't give every ounce of hard work, baseball that they have to this city. Harrison Bader summed it up best. He walked into the clubhouse and there's a different air. There's a different energy because Schwarber, Harper, Turner, they eat at a separate table in the major leagues to where, yes, has the postseason blunders, the striking out, the swinging of balls in the dirt. Is it infuriating? Absolutely. But this group of Philadelphia Phillies players is my favorite group. And I grew up in the Utley, Howard, Rollins era. I love that era. I think they're winners. This group needs to prove that they are winners. But I love these guys, man. I love Marshy. I love Turner. I love Harper. I love Zach. I love Aaron Nola. I love JT, even though I wasn't upset that they brought him back. It was just I wanted Bo Bichette. But I think these guys deserve a party down Broad Street. Now, are they going to do that? We don't know. And like I said, this is The Last Dance. And I just want to get back into this journey started in 2019. Now, of course, the Phillies journey for me started back in like 07 when I first got into baseball. But this current group, Bryce signing with the team, changed everything. Once he signed with the Philadelphia Phillies, he made the Phillies a premier destination because they always had the money, but were they going to get a big star to come in? Bryce Harper was that first domino to fall. JT signed or got traded that same offseason before Bryce even came here. So in 2019, the tides started to change. And then you think about Aaron Nola coming in 2015, like Aaron Nola needs a ring. He has been the most disrespected Philadelphia athlete of all time. Was he terrible last year? Absolutely. But Aaron Nola for his career has been a phenomenal pitcher, one of the best in franchise history. And then 2020, you bring Zach in, right? Zach Wheeler. 2021, 2022, all that kind of stuff. And the theme of 19, 20, and 21 was they had a good team, but they couldn't get over that September hurdle to where they would always collapse in September. And then 2022 came. That's when we brought in Cassie. It's when we brought in Schwarber, to where tide started to change. And I'm going to go back on this point of destiny. It's just like, it's so weird how this Philadelphia Phillies playoff run started with the magical run to October, right? No one expected that. The best baseball viewing experience I've ever had was watching that 2022 playoff run. But then we got to the World Series and we were up 2-1 against the Astros and hitting those 5 homers, the South Philly Bombers with 5. One of the best quotes, but also most heartbreaking quotes, because after that moment, everything went to shit. Got no hit in game 4. Game 5, JD hits one to the wall. Chaz McCormick makes that unbelievable play. This game is turned upside down in game 6 to where it almost felt like everything was too good to be true, and then it came crashing down. And then 2023. I still think about that Diamondback series to this day. Like, genuinely, like, Friday, Saturday nights, or Sunday nights when it's, you're doing nothing, you're just sitting back reflecting on your thoughts. And that Diamondback series comes to mind because that 2023 season, like I said, 2022 playoff run was my favorite viewing experience. But in totality, the 2023 season was my favorite baseball season. And it goes back to the confidence level. Like, I thought that team was going to do it. And then when they went up 3-2 against the Diamondbacks coming home, I thought there was no shot in hell they were going to lose. And then obviously game 6 and game 7 happened. The utter collapse, the bats going cold. And it just was so devastating. It was so weird. It was like the baseball gods were playing a sick trick on us. And I'm never going to disrespect the baseball gods because if you do that, you're cooked, right? Like, never disrespect them. But in that moment, I was like, really? Like, come on, man. Like, why us? Why did we deserve for that to happen? And I think this is going to turn back into the last dance. If the Phillies win it in 2026, all of the heartbreak, all of the journey, all of the highs, all of the lows will be worth it. And then let's get into 2024. 2024 was a very interesting season for me. I always say that 2024 was my least favorite viewing experience out of this core because they went into the season, they started off 40-18, but all the sentiment around the team was, this doesn't matter. We have to go win a World Series. And you like that energy, but then it kind of neglects the journey, the getting there, enjoying the May getaway games in Wednesday, right? The 1 o'clock p.m. games, the 10 o'clock games in San Francisco. It just felt so like, I don't know. It's just a weird feeling in 2024. And then after the All-Star break, we basically collapsed. We all know what happened with the Mets. To where 2024 was a weird season for me. Last year for the first time in a couple years felt like, let's just enjoy the ride. Whatever happens, happens. Because at that point, everyone in Philadelphia kind of started feeling how they are now about the playoff chokers. Are they going to do it in October? So I went into 2025 just experiencing the journey. And I love the 2025 season, man. When we got Bader, that spark plug, Johan Duran coming in, the entrance that first time, unbelievable, dude. And again, with the burning of the boats, I felt like that was a team of destiny. And it just wasn't. And we got into the Dodgers series. Like I said, game 1, man, Teoscar hits that home run. Game 2, the Bryson stop bunt, all that kind of stuff. Bringing in D-Rob in game 1 for the 7th inning after you just got a big out in the 6th. It was awful. Like, we were down 2-0. I was in the building. It was the most depressing feeling I ever felt as a fan. And then game 3 rolled around, and we were like, don't let us win today. The Red Sox quote, don't let us win tonight. And they won game 3. And then they jumped out to a 1-0 lead in game 4 in the 7th inning. And then the 2-2 pitch. And again, I'm not saying that 2-2 pitch, if it was called a strike, we would have won. I think we would have had a damn good chance because I still do think we win that game 4. But then again, you have to go to game 5 and win on your home turf. But 2025, yes, it was heartbreaking, but it almost felt like this is how the story was supposed to go, in the sense of it just felt like the most Phillies way to lose on a comebacker to a Ryan Kirkering, sailing it into oblivion. But 2026, I'm just going to go into the season with 2 mindsets. One, the last dance. That's the title of this video. I feel like this group of players, this is their last chance. Do I think they're going to do it? We'll get into my predictions if I think they're going to win it all. But I really just want to enjoy this baseball season. I want to have kind of that same mindset I had with the 2025 Phils, because even though it ended in complete heartbreak, I had a great 7th-month journey. And I want to do that for the 2026 Phils, not only for this current core and my viewing experience. I don't want this to happen, but there's a real chance there's no baseball in 2027. So I'm trying to savor up all these moments, all these kind of like the opening day tomorrow. Like, we might not get that next year, to where I implore all Philadelphia Phillies fans. I get it. Some of you guys might be like, wake me up in October. And that's fine to have that kind of opinion, because it's your opinion. It's your baseball experience. You do what you choose with it. But really, I would implore, if you can, try to look at the glass half full. You get baseball back, man. You get 162 games, you get 6 games a week, and we might not have that in 2027. So just enjoy the season, but let's get into the team. Let me scroll down on my Word document. I think their strength is going to be their pitching, right? And I made a video, do the Phillies have the best starting rotation in baseball? You can say the Dodgers, you can say the Mariners, you can even say the Yankees if they're fully healthy. And I always went back to the sentiment of it only matters in October in the sense of is your pitching healthy? But if this pitching is healthy, it's the best rotation in baseball. If Zach Wheeler returns to Zach Wheeler, my God, because people forget, and I don't think people forget, but with that Dodger series, I wasn't as enraged because you got to think, we didn't have our ace. And not just an ace, we didn't have our playoff riser. Zach Wheeler has never faltered in a postseason game in Philadelphia to where not having him for game one, Christopher Sanchez did a great job in game one and game four, but I think it would change the tide of the series if we had Zach Wheeler to where if we have him coming back and we don't know how he's going to return from the injury, from thoracic outlet syndrome, because it's a weird injury. But everything with the reports from camp, and Zach Wheeler has stated this, he feels the same to where if you have a 1-2 punch of Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez going to a playoff series, I don't care if it's the Dominican team from this past WBC, you can shut them down. And the United States did shut them down to where it's like great pitching beats great hitting every day to where having the strength of your team being that starting rotation is just going to do wonders in the sense of our chances at winning a World Series. And not just that one, too. Jesus Luzardo is going to finish top 5 in Cy Young voting if he stays healthy. Now, I feel like Jesus Luzardo has been on the trajectory of Zach Wheeler in the sense of he came to Philadelphia with some injury concerns, but he came here and he figured it out. And I think the Phillies made a conscious effort to extend him because they saw the talent. And if Jesus Luzardo wasn't extended and he has the season I think he's going to have, that price tag almost doubles. So I love the move extending him. And then the next two, Aaron Nola, even year Nola. It kind of goes back to the team of destiny to where if they're going to do it, you best believe Aaron Nola is going to have a part in winning that World Series to where if he's your 4 starter and he gives you similar production to 2022, 2024, even if he's a little worse, like a 4 ERA, that as your 4 starter is very effective. And if he eats up the innings to where he can give Zach Wheeler a day off in the sense of maybe they skip him in the rotation. Same thing with Christopher Sanchez, just to where they can line him up for the postseason, similar to what the Dodgers have been doing the past couple of years. I think that's going to be very effective. And Andrew Painter. Is Andrew Painter going to be the star that we think he is? I don't think he's going to be that in 2026 because it's his first full year in the big leagues. I think he will eventually get there. But he's your 5th starter to where the pressure shouldn't be on Andrew Painter to where if he can just log 130 to 150 innings and maybe at a 4 ERA, I think that's very effective to where this rotation is deadly. And let's not forget about Taijuan Walker. If Taijuan Walker has a year similar to 23 or even 2025 when he was going between the rotation and the bullpen, to the tune of a 4 ERA, that's your swingman. That's still very effective to where this rotation is the clear strength of this team. But the very next strength is still on the side of the pitching is their bullpen. Scroll down a little bit. Johan Duran for a full year. Johan Duran has been working on a splitter, and if he can put that to his pitch arsenal and use his fastball more up in the zone, Johan Duran is going to go from one of the best closers in baseball, which he already is right now, to the absolute best. And we have him for a full season. We won 96 games with Jordan Romano coming in as the main closer, and then Alvarado was great. He got suspended. The bullpen was an absolute shambles the day after Jose Alvarado got suspended to where we don't have to worry about that right now. We have a fully loaded bullpen going into the season. You got Johan Duran, like I spoke about. Jose Alvarado, if he returns to the form of 22 and 23 as your number 1 left-handed option out of the pen, that's going to be unbelievable because Matt Strom, really good reliever. He was always meant for regular season success because he doesn't have the stuff to overpower hitters. Jose Alvarado does, and I think that lends into the postseason. We need fireball pitchers coming out of the pen. And not only Jose Alvarado, Brad Keller. Brad Keller, I think, was the best signing of the offseason for the Philadelphia Phillies because if he has any year similar to what he did with the Cubs, and you always go into the sense of like failed starters that go to the bullpen, sometimes they find it. Now, last year was his first full year in the bullpen to where we're going to have to see if that translates into his second full year. I think it does. I think his spring training and WBC performance kind of alludes that to where you got 3 studs coming out of the bullpen, 3 genuine fireballs from the right-hand side and the left-hand side. And then you'll get into the other relievers. The Ryan Kirkering, is he going to bounce back? Tanner Banks, is he going to have the season that he had last year? I think he is. I really do. But now they're lower on the totem pole to where once we get into a National League Division Series or a wild card round, whatever comes first, Orion Kirkring is not going to be put in that situation. It's going to be Duran, it's going to be Keller, it's going to be Alvarado to where I think this pitching is just unbelievable to where it automatically gives us a damn good chance to win a World Series. Now, let's get into the lineup, right? The lineup has always been the problem in October the last 3 years. The bats go cold. And they have a pretty good lineup to where even if they finish with similar numbers to where they did the past few years in the regular season, one that's going to put them in a great spot to get a first round bye, get ready for the playoffs. It's going to be determined what they do in October. And I'm talking to Kyle Schwarber, I'm talking to Trey Turner, I'm talking to Bryce Harper. As they go, the Phillies go. Are they going to hit in October? I don't know. But going back on this theme of this episode, The Last Dance, Destiny, if the Phillies are going to win, their stars are going to have to come up and play in the biggest moment, Red October, CBP, when the crowd is going insane. They need to hone in just like 22 and the first couple series of 2023. That's how the season is going to be determined, what they do in October, to where I believe they're going to get there. I truly do. I believe they're going to be a very good baseball team. But I do think the Phillies with their pitching gives them a leg up to where if the offense just doesn't go completely cold, we can win the World Series. And then you look at Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, Adolis Garcia, is he going to bounce back? What does Justin Crawford look like batting ninth in his first season in the big leagues? The Otto Kemp, Brandon Marsh platoon in left field. That's all like intricate details that kind of fit everything in. But as the stars go, the Phillies go. Let's get into a couple bold predictions before I get into what I think the season's going to go, my predictions, the playoffs, are we going to make the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. But I want to get into 3 predictions that I feel like if these 3 things happen, it's going to put the Phillies in a great spot to win a World Series. I think Bryce Harper's going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. I think he's going to hone in on the sense of not chasing, not doing too much, and being the Bryce Harper that we all know. And last year he had an 844 OPS, right? That's not bad. Like, it's not Bryce Harper standard because Bryce Harper set the bar so high. I think the Bryce Harper struggling in the playoffs put a magnifying glass on his season to where, again, if Bryce Harper dominates in the playoffs like he did in 22, 23, and 24, that's going to put the Phillies in a great spot. But he can't do it by himself. We saw that those 3 years. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber kind of have to help him out in that sense. But I think he's going to finish top 5. My second bold prediction, Christopher Sanchez is going to win the NL Cy Young. Christopher Sanchez is definitely going to win the NL Cy Young. I think Christopher Sanchez, extending him was a great move. And I saw Tim Kelly said it really was just adding 2 more years to the deal at $30 million AAV at 30.5. So it's $61 million. They were going to pick up those 2 options anyway. So you get Christopher Sanchez for 2 extra years. It's a no-brainer. But his stuff is so effective. His confidence, the kind of pitcher he's grown into, the kind of stoic energy that turns into madness when he gets the strikeout and he's pumping his chest. Christopher Sanchez finished second in Cy Young Awards. Now, if Paul Skeens does what Paul Skeens does like he did last year, which I probably think he's going to do, it's probably going to go back to Paul Skeens, but I really think Christopher Sanchez has a little bit more left in the tank to where if he does 200 innings, if he has a sub-2 ERA, which I don't think is crazy, he's going to win the NL Cy Young. But either way, I think Christopher Sanchez as your number 2. Now, I think that's only predicated on if Zach Wheeler comes back and be Zach Wheeler. Because if Zach Wheeler is the Zach Wheeler of 2024, he's the ace of this team. He's the guy that starts game 1. And then you follow that up with a Christopher Sanchez that is fully in his prime. Again, that is why I'm so confident the Phillies can make a run in October. And my third prediction, and I've said this on numerous occasions, and I feel like other Phillies fans are starting to buy into it, Bryson Stott's going to be the starting second baseman for the National League All-Star team in South Philadelphia. Bryson Stott, when he made that swing adjustment, had an 855 OPS the last 58 games of the year. And it not only obviously the swing adjustment helps, right? Because then he could lower his hands, he could be more calm at the plate, he can see better pitches, whatever. But I think what it translates to in the sense of his spring training stats, where he batted 366 and had an OPS over 1,000, it's now mentally locked in that Bryson Stott is that guy. I think Bryson Stott is going to come into the season with a upwards of confidence to where baseball is 90% mental. We've always heard the quote, 90% mental, 10% physical. Bryson Stott now has both, and he's been awarded by giving the 5th spot in the batting lineup to where I thought they were going to kind of let him ease into it, but his spring training stats just kind of show like, no, he's ready to go. And I'm just so excited for what Bryson Stott's going to do because even if Bryson Stott doesn't hit, which I think he's going to hit, his defense at second base automatically makes him an above average player. Like defense freaking matters, dude. Like I'm so sick of people saying And I like Alec Bohm. Even thinking that Alec Bohm is a better player than Bryson Stott, I think Boehmer's a good player. They're not in the same stratosphere. And I think Bryson Stott's going to prove that this year in the 2026 season, being a National League All-Star. But what do I think is going to happen in the sense of where they finish in the standings? I think they are going to win 92 games, and I don't think they're going to win the division. I think the Mets, with their new energy, getting some of those guys out of the clubhouse, kind of turning a page, will win the division. But that doesn't scare me. That genuinely doesn't, because my thing is with this rotation, with this bullpen, with this team, all they have to do is get in the dance. And maybe it plays into the sense of they played that wild card series, they don't have the layoff, and they go into the NLDS hot. Now, what would I rather have? I'd rather them win 100 games, get a first-round bye, be the number 1 seed, and automatically get into the National League Division Series. Because a 3-game wild card series, no matter how good your pitching is, no matter if you're starting off with Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, it's still a 3-game series. Anything can happen. So I don't want that to happen, but this is just my prediction. But I think they win that wild card series. I think that pitching dominates. And I think they get a rematch with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I think the tables are turned. The Dodgers are now the home team. The Dodgers are the team that have the layoff. And Philadelphia comes in and wins that National League Division Series in 4 games. And then I think they have an all-time matchup in the National League Championship Series with the dreadful New York Mets. And I think they win that in 7 games. And then I think they go to the World Series. I think they face off against the Detroit Tigers, and they win that in 7. And the Philadelphia Phillies 5-year run ends in a championship. Wheeler gets his ring. Harper gets his ring. JT gets his ring. Aaron Nola gets his ring. Christopher Sanchez gets his ring. Dave Dombrowski gets his ring. And I genuinely believe this. I feel like it's destiny. I wouldn't have made a video with the title The Last Dance if I didn't think there was some sort of destiny playing into it. Now, that's just me in the sense of like, being a lifetime baseball fan, even if you have destiny like in 23 that I thought they were going to win it, it can come crashing down in a minute to where I just feel like it started off so great, right? 22, no one thought we were going to get it in there. We eventually lost the World Series, but we got there. But then everything started going downhill. Lost in the championship series, lost in the division series, lost in the division series again. And there's the impending lockout. In some sicko way, I just think it's going to end in a World Series. This might be wishful thinking. This might be hopeful thinking. But it's not just a prayer and a whim. This team is phenomenal. This team is really good, man. Like, you have to understand the kind of talent we have in this clubhouse. Are the Dodgers the clear-cut favorite? Absolutely. But I don't think the gap is so far to where thinking they could win either a short game series or a 7-game series is out of the equation. So that's essentially my Philadelphia Phillies 2026 preview. I'm so excited for opening day, man. Just the sense of getting baseball back. I'm going to be doing a pregame show. I'm going to be doing a postgame show. But let me know your guys' thoughts on anything Phillies in 2026. Do you have any reservations about the offense? What do you think about the starting pitching? What do you think about the new upgraded bullpen? What do you guys think? I think this season is going to end in a parade down Broad Street. It's going to put an absolute cap on what I believe has been the best era of Philadelphia Phillies baseball, but you can't put that stamp or a name on that era unless they win a World Series. That'll do it for this episode of Baseball for Maniacs, and as always, go Phils.